readers. My name is Monique Snyman, and I'm an assistant editor for Booktrib.com. And today I'm here with author Edward D. Webster, who's going to give us some insight into his latest book, Russian Nonsensical, a captivating story where one couple's birth story becomes a grand adventure. Edward's book is one of the selections available in Booktrib's book club program for November, and I'm very excited that he was able to take a few minutes out of his busy schedule to talk to us today. So let's jump right into it today. No spoilers, but what can you share about your book that we wouldn't find on the jacket cover?
Well, first, thank you, Monique, for having me on board here. This hopefully will be fun. The thing I thought about with that question was there's a surprising connection between one of my characters and Nicholas, the last Tsar of Russia. In the book, my favorite detective, Bud, goes off to Russia seeking romance. He meets a woman named Sveta, a very sweet woman who charms him. But Sveta has an idiosyncrasy, and that is that she worships her grandparents and great-grandmother to a fault. And that causes some difficulties later on as Russia goes to war with Ukraine. And she asked my character, Bud, to do a favor for her. So the thing about Sveta is her great-grandmother was governess to Anastasia, the youngest daughter of Tsar Nicholas, the last Tsar of Russia. And in 1917, of course, the Bolsheviks deposed Nicholas, imprisoned him, eventually assassinated him and his family, and they almost assassinated Sveta's great-grandmother. So I think that's kind of an intriguing twist. And to me, Russian history is really fascinating. So I thought it was nice to put a little bit of that in there. And I hope the reader enjoys that too.
Well, I love Russian history, so that sounds very intriguing to me.
Oh, good.
Why do you think Russian Nonsensical would make a great book club selection?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a couple of quotes from reviews and also a little bit of what I have to say myself. So I have a quote from Kirkus Reviews, and they gave me a starred review, which is I feel like an honor because they only give that to 2 to 3% of authors. And I've seen some pretty well-received authors who are bestsellers who don't have a star. So I think that's pretty cool. So here's what they said just in a brief bit. They say it's a detective story that's quirky, snarky, fun, and romantic. So I like that, and I think it is a fun book, I hope, and it is romantic. I'm not sure quite about snarky, but I decided to embrace it. So the book, anyway, it lampoons Russian and American society and Russian and American politics. It's a mystery, but it's not really a traditional whodunit kind of a thing. It has unique characters, such as a pastor whose congregation dances holding venomous snakes in their worship. Now that's a true thing, by the way, just in case our readers don't know about it. And I actually hired an editor who knows quite a bit about religion and knows a lot about Russia. He lived there and married a Russian woman himself. And he helped me out a lot to know about the snake handling religion. So that's part of the quirkiness, but there's a serious side to the book too, and that has to do with the nature of truth in our society and the fact that we're galloping toward kind of a scary and kind of an exciting promise of artificial intelligence. So that plays into the book too. Now, another review I received, this is, I don't know how much of this you can see, Publishers Weekly just came out with a book life review of my book, and I'd like to read you a quote from that as well.
Sure.
The surprise in Russian Nonsensical is Webster's commitment to the hearts of these people, especially Bud, and his suggestion that with love and time, the fevers fueled by anger and misinformation can diminish. So the book is unconventional, but I think it has something for almost everybody. And so that's why I think it would be good for a book club, because you have all different interests. We don't necessarily want to read a book that we've read a clone of it before. We want something new sometimes, and this is that book.
It certainly sounds very interesting. I love the idea of a whole web of different things to keep you turning those pages. It's very interesting.
Oh, good.
What's the best book, fiction or non-fiction, you've read in the last year and why?
Okay. I'm going to go with All the Broken Places by John Boyne. I do like to read sometimes. I kind of have a grim fascination, I guess, with books about Nazi Germany. But this book has a new twist on it because it's a 91-year-old woman. She's German. She's living in London, and when she was 15 years old, 75 years ago, she was aware of her father, who was part of the Nazi machine and who performed despicable acts back 75 years ago. And she said nothing back then. And there have been other times in her life when she said nothing. And now she's 91 and she's racked by that guilt still 75 years later. She comes upon a horrifying situation at her apartment building in London, and she has to make a decision whether she's going to sit passively by like she did 75 years ago, or she's going to take an action. So what we have here is kind of the ghosts of her past are haunting and nagging and coercing her to do something, maybe, but is she going to do something? And that's what makes this book compelling. So that's my choice. It's one kind of a sins of the father and the sins of my past, even 75 years ago, are coming back to haunt me.
I'd love to talk to you more about books, especially yours, but I promised readers 5 minutes, so we'll have to wrap this up so they can go read it. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Monique.
For more information about Edward's book, please check out the book club page on the booktrib.com website. Until next time, bye.